A few Goldilock Bears podcast with Vincent Cloud.
John Nemitz.
And David Lauer.
And this is the show where we talk about loves, hates, indifferences, ambivalences, things we're on the fence about. But before we do any of that, we do a segment called Deja Fuse. It's all about old topics. Take it away, Dave.
I have a deja vu. I was reading an article online. Well, I mean, I read part of the article, not the whole thing. Uh, but it reminded me of a topic that John was talking about things that are like marketed as good, but they're not good for you. This is something that like lots of people have been saying for years that this is probably not a good thing. And it seems like now we're finally getting some scientific studies out there showing that it's not good for you. But there's a new study about how fluoride that they put in like the public water supplies is definitely not good for you. And there's studies that are showing that there's a correlation between fluoride in the water, the levels of fluoride in the water, and the IQ of the children that live in that area. Yeah, which is so now there's cities are going about the process of like not putting fluoride in their water anymore because they're realizing this. And meanwhile, it's like the benefits of it, it'll make your teeth stronger or something. It's like just brush your teeth if you want your teeth to be stronger or better. Like water should like we should only be trying to like purify water, trying to make it as clean as possible. We shouldn't be trying to add weird things, hoping that there's side effects because while you might get one benefit, you might get five side effects, and lower IQ is one of them. So I saw that and I thought it was kind of interesting.
Wow. That sounds something out of a Batman movie. They try and poison our water supply.
Yeah,
Except
that's
not
interesting.
the.
Like it's taken a while because I know like it was controversial at the very beginning for maybe the wrong reasons. Like weren't there always conspiracy theories that it makes you more passive and more easily governed? Like that was what they were saying the fluoride was doing. Of course, there was a whole thing from Doctor Strangelove. Wasn't that like that guy's big thing was the fluoridated water and our precious bodily fluids and all that?
Whoa, he mentioned the fluoride in that
I
movie?
thought so.
Wow.
Could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But I've always been aware of this topic, and I've actually like kind of over the years like looked into it, and I haven't heard what you're talking about, Dave, but everything I had seen, until a few years ago said there wasn't really any known negative effects to it, but it doesn't shock me that, having longer to study it, we could be coming up with more info. So yeah, that's something I'm definitely going to check out now.
Yeah, it came out like the article is probably like 3 weeks old. It's not like super new. So they should definitely be able to Google it and find some articles on it.
I grew up with well water, which was non-fluoridated, so that's why I'm so smart.
Oh, damn, I had well water too. What's my excuse? Oh man. I remember in what did you have, Vince?
I was just gonna say I grew up with good water. When the proper term, if I were smart enough, was to say it was well.
Oh, that's very clever. I remember in kindergarten in Augusta, Wisconsin, when I first got there, like I didn't go to preschool for whatever reason. I was just too smart to go to preschool, I guess. But I went to kindergarten and they made us all sit in a big circle on the floor and they started handing out pink cups. I was like, oh, it's Kool-Aid. So, and the teachers are like, don't drink it. Don't drink it. Whatever you do, don't drink it. And I just thought they were gonna make us wait. So like I took like a little sip and I'm like, ugh, like this is terrible. And they're like, you're just supposed to swish it around in your mouth. Like I'm 6 years old. I don't know what that means. I've never put a liquid into my mouth and swished it around and spit it out. Like all of these concepts were totally foreign to me. And like all the kids who had I guess been there for preschool. They knew the drill and they knew how to do the fluoride rinse in their mouth. I was totally new to me because I was 6. I had no idea, but I just it's a memory that's like ingrained in me.
All right, while you were telling that fantastic anecdote, I looked up the article and just browsing through it here quickly, it looks like the test they did was fluoride levels at 2 times the recommended amount that is correlated with lowering IQ for children and stuff. So I think that, yeah, they even have the quote in there that the dose makes the poison. So basically, if you do it at the levels that have been recommended all along, there's no correlation with ill effects. But then you have to have the confidence that you are keeping it to those levels and not, you know, overdoing it in any cases, which, knowing how a lot of cities run their drinking water, I wouldn't have the confidence that they're doing everything completely properly and they're not overdoing it. So I don't know.
And I wonder when they came up with those dose limits. Was that like in the 80s when like nobody drank water at all and like we'd go the entire school day and drink from the water fountain like twice? Or like nowadays kids like carry around like their own like Yeti containers filled with water and they're drinking water all the time. It's like, is that affecting your dose just like the amount of water you're intaking? I don't know.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
a good question. When I was a kid, like I rarely drank just like plain water. Like my family drank milk with every meal, growing up in Wisconsin. Um, like I drank like fucking Mountain Dew all the time. Just that kind of stuff. Like for just clear, pure water to pass my lips was quite rare.
Yeah, it was like water was something that it was like you drink in like June, July, and August. It had to be hot out. Otherwise, it was like milk, Kool-Aid, and soda.
Yeah,
does would my Brita filter, if I were to buy one, would that help with the fluoride? No.
I don't think so.
Ah,
I don't think
shit.
I
Probably
don't think a
not.
Brita filter would. Maybe if you had like one of them fancy reverse osmosis ones, it might. But
Shit. All right.
Yeah, when you
Um,
look into water filter, like I have a water filter on my fridge, but once you like look into the stuff it filters out, they're like all the stuff it's filtering out is not even in the water, most likely. And the things I'm worried about, like, I mean, it will filter out lead, which I guess is good. But other than that, I'm like, the list of things it's filtering out, I'm like, those things aren't even of concern to me. I'm like, there's other stuff that can get in your water supply, like pesticides and stuff. Like, that stuff's kind of scary. I'd like it to take that out, but like, they really don't say that they can.
hmm,
damn you.
I don't
Well,
know. I worry about pesticides getting in my water because I live in Oklahoma and all our water basically comes from rivers that start off in like Minnesota, Wisconsin, Canada, and Great Lakes, and they go through, Iowa, big farming state, Nebraska, big farming state, Missouri, Kansas, all these big farming states where there's tons of cornfields everywhere and tons of pesticides used everywhere. And then our water gets down to Oklahoma, and I feel like it's just like contains everyone's runoff at this point.
oh yeah, we've got the head of the Mississippi River in our fine state here, and we're leaving some nice treats in there for you, Dave, by the
Yeah.
time it gets to you.
You're drinking from the juicy teat, and I'm getting the runoff.
let's get the show started. Let's start off with one of those loves or hates or indifferences. But Dave, you're on deck.
All right. We can probably go with my love. I have a love of vigilante justice. Um, there's a news story that came out like a week or two ago about a guy in Kentucky. He's like the town sheriff or the county sheriff, and he found that the judge in his town is like texting or sexting his teenage daughter, and he saw it on like we don't know all the details behind it. All we know is that he knew something was up. he went into the judge's quarters at the courthouse, and he's the sheriff, he's the judge, so they kind of know each other, you know, at least on a name basis. They're probably not friends, but they know each other, and they start. There's video cameras where they're showing each other his phone, and he's looking at the other guy's phone, and then he just pulls out his sidearm and shoots the guy. And it's apparently because the guy was in some sort of relationship with this guy's daughter, and you know, his daughter is a high schooler or something, at least as far as we know. And, you know, it was a good old case of vigilante justice. He wasn't going to wait for it to get to the court system. He knew that this guy was a judge, and our justice system isn't perfect. It's far from perfect. And, you know, I just thought it was, you know, vigilante justice is just like the old time version of taking matters into your own hand. And when you see something going wrong, you're like, I'm taking care of business now. And I don't have a problem with this if you know exactly like that the person's guilty, they did something horrible, and especially if it's your own child. Like, and there's another case that I've always known about. This happened back in the 80s, I think like 83 or something. It was this guy was from Louisiana, and his 11-year-old son would go to karate class, and the karate instructor, who was like 25, was molesting his son, who was 11. And at some point he took his son to a hotel or something, and this had been going on for like a year. The molesting of his son had gone on for a year. Well, they had found out, the cops arrested him, and they arrested him in California, and they flew him back to like Louisiana, where he was from. And as they're doing like the perp walk from like the plane, the news channels are all there with cameras, and the dad of this boy who had gotten molested, he was at the payphones, and he's got a hat on, and he's got sunglasses on, and he's got his pistol in his pocket, and he's just waiting. And it was just like Jack Ruby shooting Lee Harvey Oswald. Like, same thing. Like, he turns around, he's got a gun, and just bang, shoots the guy, kills him on the spot. And it was just like, yeah, like, and the dude, like, he didn't even go to jail. He got like a delayed sentence. He did like 300 hours of community service. They went to court, and they found that like, hey, like, because of the situation and like what that guy did to his son, like, they let him go. Like, he did community service, and he was on probation for 5 years, but the judge was like, he's not he's not a threat to do this to anybody else. It was just the circumstance. So, you know, he took matters into his own hands, and I thought it was kind of cool. Um, there's, you know, if this could go wrong, vigilante justice could go wrong, but when it goes right, it's just like, it feels like instant justice, you know, where something bad happens, and then there's instant justice, and it just makes me go like, hell yeah. What do you guys think?
I was gonna go ahead, Dan.
I almost completely disagree. Like, I think the molestation and the whatever the judge is doing with that underage girl is horrible, and I certainly understand the instinct and desire, and in a way, like, empathize with these parents for what they did, but I cannot condone murder. I understand feeling, especially in the case of a judge, like it's like, not, the system isn't going to work, but I don't know, just the reason we have these systems is not because of guilty people, it's because of innocent people. So like, if everyone just has the mindset that, you know, somebody did something to my kid, I believe it's this guy, I'm going to murder that guy, without having all the facts, and just, going off based on what they think they know. Like, I think just way more innocent people are going to get swept up if this were like to be the norm of how we operate. In the case where the guy did the murder, and his his justice system decided that, like, oh yeah, he's not a threat. We're not going to throw the book at him. Like, I get that, like, and that, but that all, like, happened through the system or whatever. I don't know. What do you think, Vince?
You know, very, very on the fence, pulled this and that way, because there are horrible people out there that are haven't even faced what they've for their crimes or whatever. It hasn't even gotten to court yet, and who knows if it ever will. There's pieces of shit out there who do horrible things. But and it's so tough because it's not like I believe in the court system so strongly either. But like I was thinking, like, when they tried to assassinate Trump, I don't like Trump, but I also felt disgusted by it because I'm like, I don't want that to be how he's not president for a second term. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's and I'm not very comfortable with guns. That's sort of a whole subject for me. Um, but damn it, do I understand? Like fucking from the UFC, Cain Velasquez. I love that fucking fighter. He is facing prison time because he killed a pedophile, or put him in the hospital or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but like, he's been behind bars for a while now, and shit, hold on. But then there's these other people who believe so solidly in what they're doing to be true and righteous, that really turned me off about it. Like, and there's also people who are like, what is it? There's a group where they go around gun toting and like go after illegal immigrants and stuff like that. I don't know. It's just it's very touchy subject. This is a crazy opener, Dave.
I know. I totally thought this was gonna be like in movies. Like, it's a fun thing to explore.
Yeah, I
Oh,
was
you're
like,
gonna start off hot. Uh, yeah, I agree with like the stuff you guys are saying for sure. I think like I kind of looked up like the history of vigilantism, and like when there's like groups of people going around doing vigilante justice, like that's totally fucked up, and I don't think that's cool at all. I just like it in the certain circumstances where like if you're a parent and something happens to your kid, and and it doesn't always have to be like murder and like killing them, only in like an extreme circumstance. But if something happens to someone that you love, you want to stand up, and you want to, if somebody says something to my wife and like does like, and I see it, like I'm gonna talk to him, or I'm gonna punch him in the face. Like I'm gonna stand my ground. And obviously, like there's so many different like hypothetical situations that it's not gonna work in every situation. Um, and yeah, it's just like I really don't like the justice system. I've felt like over the years, like you hear more and more stories of like people who are wrongfully accused and like end up spending like a life sentence in jail, or like even going to death row. And it seems like there's so little evidence against them, but like the prosecutors, and they managed to find like people who, oh, they were a cellmate for like 3 weeks. And apparently he admitted to this one guy that he did everything, and he was admitted that he's guilty. But it's like, is this witness really like reputable? Like, but somehow like the prosecution finds this guy, and then somebody ends up on death row for it. And just like the justice system seems so screwed up in so many ways. And it's not just an American thing. Like you can look in any country, like justice systems across the world seem very unreliable.
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of what makes me so uneasy with it, is that, like, we have a system in place and innocent people still end up in prison all the time. And now we're talking about like one guy figuring out who to target. Like, that's way more likely to be incorrect. And like, I know this is just a movie, but I think of like Mystic River. We talked about at length at the other podcast. But
Oh yeah.
like he, Sean Penn takes matters into his own hand and kills the wrong guy.
A false confession, man. That drives me nuts. That's
Yeah.
probably a future topic, false confessions.
Oh
Um,
yeah, it should be.
so when Batman, right? He dresses up, he beats people up. He doesn't kill. That's the one fucking thing. He doesn't kill. And in real life, there's people that do dress up as superheroes, but they have like mace, they have like maybe a nightstick. Um, sometimes the cops know about them, but of course they're just like, you can't be doing this, dude, But they like patrol and stuff, and they fight criminals. They try and prevent that, but they don't kill them. And I think that's the main thing, the killing thing. Although, god damn it, I understand. Like it's your family, it's your, you know, all that passion. So, fuck, damn, D.
Yeah. It it kind of reminds me of the TV show Dexter, where, he like has the primal urge to like kill people, and he finds people who were like guilty of crimes but managed to get away with them. And he would, do all the research himself and find like this guy really is guilty. And he's like, if I'm gonna kill someone, I'm gonna make sure it's someone bad. And like the whole show of Dexter, like the whole plot of it was like him going after guys and kind of doing vigilante justice against all these people. And I don't know, maybe it's just, like it's like the part of me who like wishes, that instant gratification where it's like, yeah, let's undo that wrong right now, where it's appealing, but yeah, there's a million ways it can go wrong and you could end up doing the wrong thing.
Let's move on. It's like my chat.
Okay.
um I feel that it's my right to change this topic regardless of facts. I don't know. I have a good feeling. I feel self-righteous. Um, yeah, whoever wants to go next. John?
I'll
Me?
go. I'm gonna go with my love, which is very good for an audio medium. The work of the visual artist Eyvind Earle. Um, he was in his heyday in the mid 20th century. Um, Not sure how to explain his artwork style, but he does like a lot of like landscapes and very like vibrant colors. Um, but it's definitely not photorealistic or even meant to be so. It's very stylized. Um, the landscapes always tend to have like a lot of sharp angles in them. The trees he draws are like kind of fractally in a way, and like geometric, in a way. And maybe what he's most well known for is um, he did like the background design, like all the scenery design and artwork for Sleeping Beauty, the Disney movie, and like the dragon design and that kind of stuff, which is pretty cool and pretty dark. Um, but I think I mentioned him in the past, but I first heard of him. There was an art exhibit called Guillermo del Toro's Movie Monsters, and it had a lot of like the props and stuff from all kinds of different movies and stuff. But then he also just had like a collection of this guy's paintings and drawings and stuff. And I don't know, just something about it really struck me at the time. And I've had pretty much since then it's all just been different pictures of his on my desktop backgrounds and my phone background. Like anything where I'm putting a background, it's probably going to be something of his, just because I really love the aesthetic.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I remember Sleeping Beauty standing out, and yeah, I still think of that as like one of the better ones. I mean, just visually, it's so gorgeous. And I guess Pocahontas, they tried to do that kind of style a little bit, and I'm like, oh yeah, I could kind of see that. Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned this guy because I really like what he does, all that landscape stuff. Um, it's almost like the colors that he chooses are stark. I don't, like there's,
Yeah, like
yeah,
the harsh in a way. Yeah.
yeah, and that's really terrific. Um, yeah, like I looked at some stuff online. I Googled some of his stuff, but I want to check out more. This is awesome. I really enjoy looking at his work.
Yeah, I'd never heard of him. And then I Googled him today and I was just like looking at the art and I was like, this is awesome. Like I was in like recently, I don't have any tattoos, but I've always like thought about like what would I want for a tattoo? And I've always thought like, well, I like nature and I would want something that was either like has like a mountain or like a forest and trees. And then when I saw his artwork today, I'm like, this is like the kind of style I would like. If I was gonna get a tattoo, like imagine getting like something like I could look through his stuff and I could probably find a dozen different things that would be an awesome tattoo. Like it's the art, I don't know, the colors really pop and they're I don't know, just everything about it because it's like it's realistic, but it's also like it's animated in like a I don't know the artsy terms for any of this stuff,
Yeah,
but
I
like
definitely do not either.
it's like realistic, but it's not too realistic. Like it's obviously not like perfectly realistic, and it's just like it's a perfect blend of like realism and not realistic. So
Mhm.
I don't know. It's tons of his art is just amazing, and I had no idea who this guy was or anything. And like now, it's just like, yeah, I'm like, I want to start downloading wallpapers and putting backgrounds on stuff. Like I would totally put his art on my wall. I'm not like big into putting stuff on my walls. I would put some of his stuff on my wall for sure.
Great long shadows in a lot of
Oh
his
yeah,
work.
yeah.
Yeah, very lots of stripe like shadows. Yeah, really like it. It's awesome. Um, anything else about you
Yeah, the one last thing is being from Minnesota, one of the 12 states that claims Paul Bunyan, he has a pretty cool design of Babe the Blue Ox and Paul Bunyan hanging out.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. Wow, that's so weird. We have a Paul Bunyan statue here in Eau Claire and the Blue Ox, but they just kind of look mid, if you ask me. They don't look they don't look like this. That's
Yeah.
great. Segue challenge. Um, our topic
We
Uh,
is
can
casting a long shadow.
Dave's
So,
topic is still casting a long shadow.
it is. We got to drop something new.
all right. I'll go here. You know what? Let's go. What have we done? Love, two loves
True
already?
loves. Yep.
Okay. Well, let's talk about an indifference. I'm indifferent to haunted houses. I'm not talking the real ones. I'm talking the ones where people, it's just for the season, they throw it together. Um, you go in there and it's super dark and but to me it's like just people going like scaring you, just like yelling and just like like that's startling. But and extremely dark. Sometimes I'm just closing my eyes because I'm not going alone. It's always like a big group and we're all just kind of like hugging each other going through it. There's parts of that that's fun. But for the most part, lots of the haunted houses that I've gone to seem kind of cheap in a way. I mean, they tend to hire good actors that have good scary voices and stuff, but it doesn't stick with you. Unlike this one haunted house, it was in Marshfield, and it was called The Nightmare or something like that. And this was a haunted house done well because it wasn't ghosts and werewolves or anything like that. It was about real life horror, which is like drug addiction, suicide. You know, it was crazy. You go in there and like there's this room and there's this girl who's like crying and like she's writing down some stuff and then she takes a gun and you're like, whoa, what the fuck? And like the props are perfect. It blows a hole in her
Wow.
head and you're just like, what the fuck? And then this one, it's like an alleyway with like these wannabe gangster people, but real gangsters show up and start shooting them up, and it's really well done. And I'm like, this is the best haunted house I've ever seen, minus the ghouls. It's crazy. So yeah, what do you guys say about the haunted houses?
I feel like I haven't been to one since I was quite young, and so definitely I would say I'm indifferent to them. I if friends were going to it, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's fine, but I definitely wouldn't organize a group outing to one. Um, I don't know, like it just like I feel like most of them they're like not allowed to touch you, right? So like that's good. Um, that I don't know, it's just like yeah, people like jumping out and yelling at you like that's not super interesting, but like if there's like little tableaus going on and like they're acting out a scene every time you come in, like that definitely seems more interesting for sure.
I've been to a haunted house. There's one like 20 miles away in this small town, and it's called like the Oklahoma Asylum Haunted House. And I went there a couple years ago, and like I've only been to like ones in the Wisconsin Dells where they have some haunted houses, and I think it's like more geared toward kids. This one I went to, it's for adults. You have to be 18, I would think, to go in there. You got to pay, I don't remember what it is, like 15 or it's like $15 to get in probably. And there's like certain rules where they're like, you can't touch any of the actors or actresses. You can't touch them, but they can touch you.
Oh,
And
Oh,
it's like, oh, okay, well, and so I was like, all right, okay, so because like they'll grab you by the hand and they'll like lead you somewhere, or they'll touch you on the back, but that's about it. They don't really,
they'll punch you in the throat, stuff
yeah,
like
none of that.
that.
None of that. But like
your
everybody wears a
your throat touched my fist. Get him out of here.
like everybody wears a white t-shirt because once you're done with it, you want to see how much like blood and guts you have on you after they've led you through this haunted asylum.
Oh, like
And
a guar
there's
show or something.
yeah, exactly. And it's like it's filled with a bunch of actors or, in there, and they're like all like high school to early 20 age people working at this place. And it's in a small town. This is a very small town of maybe 1,000 people or less. And like after going through it, like I was not super impressed. There was some of it was cool, some of it was not. There was one point where like I have like no hair. So they take like a glob of like blood or guts or something, and they're gonna take it and put it all over your head. And they did it to me, and I'm like, ha ha ha, joke's on you. That doesn't do anything to me. And then my wife, she's like, don't put anything in my hair. Don't put anything in my hair. Don't put anything in my hair. And she was still going for it. And I started walking back towards this like high school age girl who was going to put something in my wife's hair. And my wife had told her 3 times, don't put anything in my hair. And then, like, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this big 6'3" security dude like steps right in between me and there, and I'm like, tell her to stop. Like, don't put like a bunch of like dye in her hair because it's gonna take forever to wash out. And then the girl put a bunch of shit in my wife's hair, and I got big security guard in front of me, and they're like, "All right, this is over." And then they walked us out, and I'm like, this is stupid. I don't know. It was like it was the end of the house anyways. There was one more hallway to go down and then it was over. But at some point when someone's saying don't do that 3 times, you don't have to do it. Like, I don't know. I thought it was stupid. And it wasn't like scary at all. It was just kind of like corny the whole time. And I don't know. It was a disappointment. And like I really don't think I'll ever go to a haunted house again. because I've been to like tours of like real houses that are super old and are supposedly haunted, and it's really cool and it's like really exciting to hear those stories. But just having like a bunch of people act and pretend to be scary, that's not for me.
I like that the 6'3" dude stopped your vigilante justice.
No, that's what I was
Oh, he
thinking.
did. He did. He certainly did. I was just gonna put myself between that actor and my wife. I was just gonna stand in between them. But he doesn't know that. He might have thought I was gonna you know, punch her in the face or something.
It
Oh
is
man.
weird though that she was so insistent on going through with it though. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we can't let customers hear that you can get out of there without getting shit in your hair. So sorry, I have to do this.
Yeah.
They should say that at the beginning, like, sign this release form for your hair or something, That might be giving
Yeah.
it away, but still.
I don't know. Cause like the whole thing is they just put a bunch of like corn syrup with food dye or something or whatever it is that looks like blood. And it's just like, yeah, it'll wash out of your clothes, but it will kind of stain your skin and you like I don't know, like you can wash it out, but it will take a you might not be able to use your regular body wash. You might have to use like Dawn dish soap to get it off you.
Man, I'd
Yeah.
have to be like a oil covered duck.
Yeah.
Oh man. Anything else about haunted houses? I don't think I'll ever go into one unless I have like a kid of my own or something. Yeah. I don't see why I would ever go back into another one unless Nightmare showed up again. That'd be kind of cool because I think that's like a traveling circus sort of thing. It was only in Marshfield that 1 year, I think. Segway
Oh,
challenge?
yeah, actually,
Uh,
sorry, there's one I've heard of like there being like Christian haunted houses where like you go through
really?
this, yeah, and then it like at the end it's like, and imagine hell is even worse for all eternity, or like like that's kind of their message, and then they like um try to get you into Jesus at the end, which I always thought that was an interesting tactic.
Whoa. Like what are the rooms?
I
Like
don't even know.
premarital sex.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably the seven deadly
Oh
sins. They're like,
yeah.
oh, this
Oh
is the
yeah.
room of
If,
sloth, and this
if
is
they're
the room
smart,
of
that's what that is.
greed. Yeah.
The,
I feel like if it
the
was
room of
themed and done
sloths looks like
properly,
my house.
yeah, it's just Mountain Dew cans everywhere.
I looked at my sloth. It was just a mirror. Yeah, Segway challenge, I suppose.
Yeah, let's exit this haunted situation and move on to the next.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I remember being in a haunted house. Inevitably, at one point, you'll be in a room and you can't find the exit because it's so dark, and you're just like, "How do I get out of here?" And then you're like, "Go down." And you're like, "No, this is where we came in." Like, I don't know where to go.
That's us right now.
No, Dave, go ahead, man.
uh,
Round
I
2.
I have a hate, and my hate is just kind of like an annoyance and a pet peeve. Is like when you're at work and people are like, "Man, this day is taking forever." And like I don't understand it totally because like to me time takes the amount of time it takes for it to pass. Like I don't really feel like, oh, this is taking forever. I do feel the opposite of that. I will be like, oh wow, like 2.5 hours passed. That was really quick. So like I feel like time can like fast forward for me, but it never like slows down. And I'm never like, oh, if I'm busy at work, it'll go fast, or if I'm slow at work, it'll go slow. I don't ever notice or feel that. It's like I'm indifferent to that. It's just like if it's not slow, it's just taking the amount of time it takes. I don't know. But like I constantly always every day there's coworkers who are like, man, this day's taking forever. And it just annoys me every time. And I'm like, not really. They're like, I can't believe it's only 10 o'clock. And I'm like, I just got here like 2 hours. Yeah, it's 10 o'clock. Sounds about right to me.
The only time when I'm like that is like when it's food related. So like I'll get in the office pretty early, like 7 a.m. and I'll like by 11 o'clock I'm like starving and ready for lunch. And that's when I'm like, oh my God, how is it only like 9:45? Like I'm so hungry right now. I just want to go eat lunch. That's really the only situation where I'm like in disbelief of the clock not moving forward. But as far as like boredom and stuff, like I truly cannot remember the last time I was bored. Like I just always have so much stuff I want to do, like research or playing a video game or watching a movie or reading a book or something. Like I don't understand how people get bored. There's like so much stuff to do, so much stuff I want to do, not enough hours in my life to do it all. Like I totally agree. I hate it when people like wish their lives away or wish the time away. Like, no, just use the time you have, do something.
Wait a minute though. This is in regards of work. Like, are you ever bored at work, John? Or
No, I have so much stuff I need to do at work. Like, bored is like I can sometimes like I don't want to do the stuff I have to do, but I don't think that means the clock is moving slowly. But I guess I don't really have a job where it's like, you know, show up at 9, leave at 5. It's really like I'm on salary, so it's like you got shit that you have to have accomplished by the end of the week. So however long it takes you to do that, you got to do it.
hmm. Yeah, day is taking forever. You know what? I don't know if I've been bored for a while actually. Yeah. And my work is very unusual, and I only work two days a week. So, um, yeah. And then when I'm here, sometimes I want time to speed up. Like, well, today, I was like, I want to podcast with my friends, So time was taking a bit, but then I used that for, doing some more research for this, with the topics and stuff like that. And yeah, I don't know. It's the wishing that your life would move a little faster and to get to the next day. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't like doing that just because time gets faster. In my eyes, the older we get, faster time seems to go by. That's actually a future topic, just that time seems to fly. But I already feel I know why it feels that way. It's not actually speeding up, but yeah, live in the moment. That's what I want. That's what I try and do. I try not to be like, you know.
I do remember being bored when I was a kid, and then like your parents are like, "Oh, if you're so bored, you could mow the lawn or whatever." Like they could give you chores to do or something. Like it's not what I meant.
Yeah, I was always when I was a kid, I would always be like, "Mom, I'm bored. There's nothing to do." And then yeah, it was always like, "All right, sweep and mop the dining room floor." And you'd be like, "Never mind, I'm fine."
You could try
Yeah.
that with your coworkers when they complain, "Oh, it's only 10 o'clock." Like, oh, maybe time will go faster
Yeah.
if you do this stuff for me.
Yeah, go stock all these cupboards over here and then watch the floors over there. I think you're onto something. I totally agree with you on the like the food thing because the time that takes the longest in my life is when I'm at a restaurant and I order food and then I'm waiting for the food to come. That is the slowest moving time ever is when you're waiting. You're like, what's taking them so long? Like we ordered 20 minutes ago.
Oh my gosh. The only time that like where I get extremely impatient are like the small little moments of like, you know, the TV remote won't work. And you're like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, why all of a sudden am I burdened with all this? Why is time taking so long for the channel to switch? Or like when the input is wrong, so I got to switch it. I'm like, that was 2 seconds. Like, oh, this is forever. I get really impatient with that. Just the tiny little things that I'm trying to work on. I don't want to try to get that revved up over a small inconvenience like that, you
that
know?
that 45 seconds you punch in the microwave, like, oh my God.
Oh,
Vince,
man.
I kind of feel like that if I'm watching like UFC and I'm streaming it, and then it starts to buffer, and I'm just like, oh, I'm missing it. I'm missing like something could be happening, and then all of a sudden it starts to play again. I'm like, oh, I missed nothing. It's okay. It's okay.
Isn't that like one of the worst things to see in our lifetimes? I mean, like it's totally just inconvenience and first world problems, but like when, that swirly thing, what is it called? Where it's like it's buffing,
The pinwheel of death.
Yeah, it's so horrible because it's going in a circle and it's not going anywhere else. It does feel like you're like captured in the moment of time.
Very Sisyphusian.
Explain.
The Sisyphus, he was the one who had to roll the boulder up the hill every day and it would just roll back down again.
Oh, that poor guy. Is that Greek mythology?
Yeah.
So does him and Atlas, are they buds? Because aren't they both just like, they're like,
I bet they hang out at the water cooler.
yeah. I
The
wonder if
gym
Atlas
bros.
I wonder if Atlas is like, oh, this day is taking forever, or does he just shrug and like, eh.
I have
The
a wallpaper on my work computer, and it's like two rock climbers going up the face of this super steep rock. And the climbers are absolutely like they look like ants. They're so tiny, and this rock is so huge. And that was like I put that as a wallpaper, and I was telling my coworkers, I'm like, yeah, it's like Sisyphus working here. You try to get something done, and it just rolls back over. Nobody understood the reference. I was like, all right.
You could have been like, it's like Jack and Jill, all right? They're like, oh, okay.
the one other one where time really annoys me is, I feel like most of my hates are about driving and traffic, but it's like when there's like you're at a stoplight and it's like the yellow arrow or whatever, or like just it's not a green arrow, but you can turn left when traffic is clear enough for you to do so. You know what I mean? Like it's not a red arrow. When people don't like ease out into the lane, because like you know how like you ease out and then when it turns yellow, everyone coming at you stops and then you can turn left during the yellow light. When people don't do that and you get stuck in an entire red light cycle, that's like the longest time that exists for me, is that time that I'm sitting there waiting for them to learn how to drive properly.
Oh man. That's the sort of scene that would make it onto the hit show that was called 24. Segway challenge?
Oh God, it's taking forever to think of a segue challenge.
Oh god. I'm just seeing that little circle. Go ahead, John.
I am indifferent to furries. Um, First of all, like I gotta say, I think the vast majority of them are doing nothing wrong. If they want to dress up like furry animals and do whatever they want to do with other consenting adults who dress up like furry animals, I think there's objectively nothing wrong with that. However, I still can't help but feel a little creeped out by them. Um, and maybe that's on me, but like, um, and I don't come in contact with people too often. And honestly, like when I've been in public, I was in Milwaukee one time downtown, and actually there was like a furry convention going on, and like I was hanging out in the food hall getting food, and just people in costumes would show up and order food and get it and leave, and like that didn't bother me at all. But what really creeps me out is like Twitch streamers, like video game streamers, where they're like instead of just having a camera on them, they have like an avatar of whatever, their persona is. And it's just like always uncanny valley like animation. And I think maybe that's what I get creeped out by the most. Like just like, like one streamer will be done with their stream and then they'll, like route everybody over to this new streamer. And whenever it ends up on like one of those, I just cannot like click on something else soon enough. I don't know what it is.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, all I have to say is I thought we mentioned this a little bit, no? When I was talking about mascots,
Oh,
where
did
it's
we?
maybe I think I just said furries, maybe. But like that whole thing is just again for the same reasons I find it weird is that I don't know who's behind the mask. I don't know who's in the suit. Do they keep it secret to themselves also? Like they can meet each other so many times, but yet they've never taken off the mask? I mean, that's kind of interesting, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question. And like, would they then like even if there was a very attractive human under the costume, would they not be attracted to them as much as they would be their furry counterpart?
Yeah, really. Holy shit. And do you, like how much more do you know about the culture? Like do they it seems like quite a few of them they're it's not about like who's a guy and who's a girl. They just are in these suits and they'll just hang out and not even that won't even be brought up of gender.
I've definitely heard of stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah. Which is fine. It's just I don't know. I wouldn't do it because I would be hot. Like you take off even if you
Yeah.
met that attractive woman, you take off the mask because she's like pouring sweat. She's like, hey, oh my God, her mascara is running and shit. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know too much about I don't know anyone who's into furries, although I've never asked. I suppose I could start doing that. I don't know. Yeah. What about you, Dave?
I really know nothing about furries. The word fursana is really hilarious to me. I enjoyed that. Um, like I guess I'm kind of like I don't really know much about it, and it's something like I've heard about, but there are certain things that like there are certain rabbit holes that I just try not to go down because I'm like, there's probably nothing good there, and like I just don't go down this rabbit hole of furries because I don't really know what it's about. I feel like it's probably kind of like some weird sexual kinky thing where they like to dress up. They don't want to see what the other person looks like. And it's like those weird like eyes wide shut parties where everyone wears a
Oh
mask,
yeah.
but they're all like, swapping partners or something. You're discreet and like no one knows what you look like, and I don't know. It's weird. Um, I really don't have anything else to say on it other than it's strange and I don't understand it and I don't really care to understand it. Like I don't have anything against anyone who does it. Um, but yeah, I don't like it. It would be interesting. Like if there was like a furry convention or something, I wouldn't like I wouldn't go to it, but it would be okay. I would be interested in just walking down the street and just kind of like people watching for 20 minutes and then be like, okay, I think I've had my fill. I'm gonna leave now.
I wonder if they would accept me into the community if like Dave, you and I, we show up dressed up as that classic horse where like, the front and you're the back.
Oh
Would they
no.
would they
I
accept
don't want
us?
to be the back. Please
No
don't
one
make me
wants
the
to be the
rear end.
back.
Sorry, Vince called the front. Got to deal with it.
Damn it.
Called
Better
shut
not fart in that costume, dude.
um yeah. I did watch a video where this guy, like I've seen a couple of his videos, and one day he just came out or whatever you want to call it as a furry, and he said something about like there's a furry community. They put stuff on YouTube, and hopefully they're banned because he was like, I'm a furry and I think what they're doing is wrong for sure. It's basically furries having sex with animals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's no good.
Yeah. And so it's again with that weird sexual nature, which makes it just a little odd for me. I'm not trying to be judgmental of them at all because I don't know. I don't know, um, you know, like there's different tribes within furries. You know what I'm saying? Because he was saying like we in the furry community do not approve of that, and that's you know we don't want that stigma on us and shit like that. So, yeah. Curious. I'm curious when they started popping out, as or having get-togethers and stuff, because this has only been around for me for I don't know, 10 years, I want to say, maybe.
Yeah, I would say I'd probably first heard about them like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like no matter what the group of people is, there's always like the people in that group that do the weird shit, and you're like, no, we're not like that. Like we don't do that. Those
Yeah,
are the
for
weird
sure.
ones.
Uh,
Yep.
you know what? I probably I wouldn't mind looking into it a little bit more. I probably should have. I didn't really do too much. But like I'm curious if like certain animals that you choose mean something because like there's a lot of wolves. I see a lot or yeah, wolves, but they're very cutesy wolves. And then sometimes there's like I think I saw some rabbits. But yeah, it seems a lot of them are wolves. I don't know. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Yeah, that is interesting. A lot of mammals, really.
Yeah.
Like
I wonder how they feel
where the
about the Masked Singer. I wonder if they're just like, "Oh, great. Yeah, mainstream media fucking ripping us off
I
again."
was gonna say
Yeah,
like where are
well,
the iguanas? Where are the
they're furries. You gotta have hair. So like
Yeah, you
that's
got me
there's
Oh
there.
no
yeah.
reptiles, no slippery snakes. Like, what about the people who want to be smooth? Just be like a seal.
Well, get it started, man. Start
I guess,
start that.
yeah, that's what we need to do. Slippery animals only.
I still think we should do the horse thing, Dave. All right.
Not doing it.
Oh, wait a minute. Is this the first furry sighting ever in the movie The Shining? Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Where she's like running around, she's like, "Oh my God!" She's got the knife and stuff, and then she sees the dude in the suit or in the tuxedo getting blown by a guy in a bear costume. That was fucked up. No judging. Again, it's just weird for me. I don't know. Like I don't know if I could get with someone who I don't see their eyes. I don't see, like do can you hear the voice or are they quiet the whole time,
Oh
That's
yeah, like do they yeah, they're like theme park mascots or whatever, and they're just like, "Hi."
I
oh
they
boy.
probably have like some weird like accents, like cat accents or dog accents, or like talk
Or
like
they'll
weird
talk like
like
Scooby-Doo.
yeah, or
Ruh-roh.
like Lola Bunny or Bugs Bunny.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, oh shit, who else was kind of furry-ish? You guys ever see the cover of Magical Mystery Tour with the Beatles?
Oh yeah.
Oh shit!
Walrus, hippo, rooster, and bunny. I'd be a bunny, by the way, Frank the Rabbit style. I'd be hanging out in golf courses and shit, just hoping for a sleepwalking teenager. 6 days, 5 hours. I don't know what he said. Segway challenge.
Hop on out of here and Hope our next topic isn't so rough.
Rough. Okay, uh let's go with my love. I love spicy foods. You know what? It's one of those things where like I never like if I see something sour, I'm like, it's been a while since I've had something sour. No, when I see something spicy, I'm like, oh, it's adventurous to me, like maybe I've never had this certain pepper or whatever. So I do enjoy that. And I remember just like hot wings, well, yeah, specifically hot wings. That's like one of my greatest sources of spice. Maybe you guys seen the show Hot Ones. It's a lot of fun to watch, and you wish you had all those spices there. And I kind of want to buy them. I kind of want to buy them and go wing for wing on one of the shows one day. That'd be great.
I would love to do that too, but yeah, but then like I look at the prices at all of them and I'm like,
Yeah,
I've
just for
only
like
seen
one
the
time.
Conan one where he's like
Oh, that
drinking
was
out of the
great.
bottle and stuff.
That was so awesome. Um, yeah, so it's fun to see their reactions to something spicy. We had cousins from I think from Texas, but they had that Mexican flavor. They had those all these peppers and they ate them like they were fucking strawberries. And I tried one and I was like, "Ooh, that is very hot." And I do draw a limit sometimes. There are some things where I'm like, this is too hot. I think horseradish. I don't think I like that at all. I think I tried it at least once. No, I've tried it more than once. And I just, every time I'm like, note to self, I don't think I like horseradish. Even in this suit with Dave behind me, I still don't like it. Um, and then wasabi was weird. It was a weird, like a weird texture. It seemed almost gummy to me, or not gummy, but I can't explain it, but it just the way it
Well,
felt was weird.
a lot of the wasabi that you get over here is actually just horseradish that they dye
No
green.
way.
Yeah, for
Really?
real.
What
Yeah,
the
it's not even
fuck?
like real wasabi.
Of
Some
course he
places it
does.
is, but not everywhere.
Oh shit, that's crazy. That's
that
pretty
makes
weird.
sense because I dislike both things and I'm like, yeah, they do seem similar.
But yeah, I mean, like, horseradish and wasabi, I would say, is a different kind of spice than like a chili pepper or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I don't even know what they're made out of, actually.
because it's like chilies are like the capsaicin and it like, physically reacts with your skin or whatever. And like horseradish is more like, it gets in your sinuses and, like, or they say clears your sinuses or whatever, but um like if those feel like different reactions to me that you're having when you eat them.
Shit. Okay. And then the other thing I wanted to say, like the most uh, flaming hots. That's mainstream. That now that's on everything. I can, and that's great. I love it. I can buy flaming hot. What's that onion thing? What's the
Onions?
Funyuns.
Funyuns? Yeah, yeah, that's right. And they just put it on everything now, and there's some great combinations. I think my favorite, one of my favorites, is sour cream and flaming hots with I think LeBron's on it. I'm not sure, but it's damn good. I could buy a big bag of that stuff. So yeah, just and then a huge shout out to spicy mustard. I've never tried it until like this year, and it puts a nice little kick to your sandwich that sometimes I want. So yeah, what do you guys say about spicy foods?
Love it. Like I'll usually when I get like Mexican food, I'll get whatever the hottest salsa is they have. Um, Thai food, I definitely don't get it as hot as they can because they really know how to make it hot. Um,
Wow, you hear that,
and
Mexico and shit.
um, but like what's interesting is a lot of like Indian food and Thai food, like they don't know how to make it mild and taste good because like the hot peppers are like part of the recipe. So if you're like, I want it mild, you're taking out like one of the key ingredients and it's just gonna like alter the flavor in a drastic way and it just won't even taste as good. And up in the Midwest here, people are not known for liking very spicy things. So if you go to like a buffet or something, it's typically going to be a pretty mild version of whatever the dish is. So you really have to like order off the menu if you want to get anything that's actually spicy.
Dave, are you a spice hound? That's a
Yeah,
term.
I never was until like I was around, I don't know, the age of 30 or something. And then I I love Buffalo Wild Wings, like getting the spiciest sauces. If you get like the blazing, it's not that great. It's really hot, but it's not that flavorful. But if you get like mango habanero, it's my favorite because it's sweet and spicy. It's so good. But I like anytime I buy food, and that's one of the things I love about in Oklahoma is when I go to the grocery store, they have like a lot more like Tex-Mex flavor of foods. So like any like if you're getting cornbread, you can get cornbread with jalapenos in it, and it's a little bit spicy. And I'm like, it's so good. Like once you've had that, you never just want regular cornbread again. You want it with the jalapenos in it that's a little spicy. Um, and like I kind of just search out like everything I can that's a little bit spicy. Like if they have like anything with jalapenos in it, I love like so if it's like bratwurst, but they have like jalapenos in it, I'm like, oh, awesome. Or jalapeno poppers, delicious. Um, yeah, and then like with the chips, like with the flaming hot stuff, like I agree. Like that's I really like the flame. There's like it's not flaming hot brand, but it's Pringles, and they're like scorching hot or something. It's their own version of it, and
Legally
it's like
distinct.
yes, due to copyright rules. Yeah, and like the scorching hot Pringles, the barbecue ones are delicious. They're my absolute favorite. They're really good. You should try them if you haven't had them. Uh, yeah, and I like getting different hot sauces and like if I cook a pizza, I'll just have like different hot sauces. And I bought like at Walmart, I bought like three different hot sauces. Um, and I was just trying them out, and it was like, oh, this one's awesome. I love it. This one is really good. And then like inevitably, there's always the one you're like, this one's terrible. I don't like the flavor, where it's like some weird aftertaste to it. But yeah, and I love salsa, and I always get like it has to be medium at least, but medium or hot. Because a lot of times the stuff that says it's like hot salsa, I don't really think is that hot. Like, because I love that reaction where like your face gets red and your eyes will almost water and it clears your sinuses. There's like some kind of like adrenaline junkie feeling where you get like a little bit of a rush when you're having something that's super spicy. And I love it.
Corn salsa. I do like that. Um, it's a nice taste. That.
Corn
Um,
salsa on corn chips.
ooh. Oh, I think I tried a Ghost Reaper, or was that, or am I combining two different
I think those are two
peppers?
different ones, yeah.
Carolina.
The
Oh
Carolina
yeah,
Reaper.
shit. It's either the Ghost or the Carolina. I'll just go with the Ghost. And it was just too much. Like I said, I could kind of draw up a line where I'm like, that is spicy. And I always want to test myself, like it's just something fun to do, but it just wasn't for me. It was just a little too out there.
Now, not to get too crude or anything, but I'll just say it's nice having a bidet if the day after you eat something especially spicy.
All right.
I had
You
a
know,
buddy use the term ring sting to describe what happens.
ring sting. All right. Well, you know what? That's a fine place to end.
Oh no.
Um, yeah, that was the show. Like, subscribe, comment if you're on YouTube. Go to a few EC.com. Also go to EC Hometown Radio, although this is probably how you're hearing it in the first place. But tell your friends about our little show. I was Vincent Cloud.
Yeah, and just be aware, like, however you're watching or listening to this now, we're also in all the podcast players. So if you just want to search us on there, or there's links to some of the big ones from our website. This is John Nimitz.
And I'm David Lauer.